Hey guys, another thing I want to talk to you guys about that doesn't get talked about a lot is fighting a fish from start to finish. And this is what I do. I'm pretty prideful. I don't lose many fish. Usually if I lose them at the very, very beginning. They miss it or something like that. But usually the thing you have to understand is where most people lose their fish, and they lose it right at the boat. And there's a lot of reasons for that. So I want to go over what I do in my opinion, and it helps me dramatically. Personally, I'm not a drag guy. I take these and I crank it down 100%. It's not good for the reel, but I undo it after I'm finished for the day, but I crank it down 100%. And a lot of people think, well, I'm going to drag them in. In a way I do, in a way I don't. When I hook a fish, number one, I make sure that my drag is tight so my line doesn't slip. I want everything I can get out of the rod and out of the line to get that fish in, that hook into the fish. So as I'm reeling that fish, I got my rod tip down. I don't want that fish to jump. That fish, a fish that jump has leverage. He's throwing that big bait like this, and if there's a way to get that bait out, that's the way to do it. That's when they're going to lose that fish, is get that bait, shake it up like this. I want them to shake their head underwater. Hopefully that bait will come back and hook themselves again. But I keep my line, my rod tip low, possibly in the water. I watch my line. If he's coming up, I drop my line, my rod even further, sometimes 3 or 4 feet or 5 feet under the water. Whatever I got to do to keep that fish. Now here's the moment of truth. The fish gets close. Obviously you need the fish near the surface to catch it. If it's a really, really big fish and it jumps, the one thing I'm looking for is how well do I have that fish hooked? Do I have a bunch of hooks in them? Can I see the bait? Can I see that bait going back and forth like this? I'm like, uh-oh. So I make an opinion, a judgment call based on what I see, or even if he's in the water and I see how he's hooked, okay? So here's the problem with drag. You have a rod. It takes X amount of drag if that fish is going to pressure for that fish to go away from you and pull the drag. It takes Y amount of drag if he's going behind you. It takes Z amount of drag if he's going under the boat. There is no one good setting for drag to make sure it's best for all situations. You know, if you clothesline a skin hooked fish, he's gonna come undone. Let's also face it, if that fish is hooked good, it don't matter what your drag set at. So that's what you're looking at. You're trying to catch those barely hooked fish and get them in the boat. So what I do is what I call Freespool. It takes some coordination on your part. But if that fish goes under the boat, I clip the reel, and as he's pulling, I let him pull line. And when he stops, I click, and then I'm pulling back on him to see what he's gonna do. If he's gonna dig some more, I let him go again. If he's skin hooked. If he ain't skin hooked, just get him up and get him in the net and get it over with. But if you know he's barely hooked, you need to baby him. So that's what I'm doing. I'm giving him line. I'm not doing this. I'm letting the fish take it. So my line is always tight. If he's going towards timber, and I don't want him to go towards timber, I can crank down on him if I have to with a Freespool. I can give him exactly how much pressure I want to give that I feel that fish needs to stay hooked up. That is the beauty of Freespooling. You're in control, and not a reel, not a mechanical device. Okay, so that's the beauty of Freespooling, and like I said, it takes some coordination. You know, you're constantly doing this, you know, reeling and going, and just playing that fish out, let him wear himself out, but you're in control 100% with how much line you give that fish. Stripers, same way. You know, you have to give them line. You do this. If you're fishing for big peacocks, you need to figure out, if you're in the jungle, you need to, hey, it's do or die. It's either he gets hung up and gets off, or you need to crank down on him. So try the Freespool thing. It takes some time, especially with big fish. It's super, super powerful to prevent losing those fish at the boat, because you're giving them an exact amount of line, pressure, drag, based on how much pressure you put on the spool with your thumb to keep that fish hooked up. So give that a try. When you're fishing for those fish at the boat and start losing fish, watch how they're hooked and play them accordingly with your reel and Freespool. I hope this helps.